Hey y'all, so today we're going to the Boss Mom 3-year AM Summit. So if you located in Atlanta or you just want to come and see some Boss Mom and networking, please head over to the Boss Mom page and follow her right now. If you love this video, share this to somebody that you think will love my content. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for all the support, and bye y'all. We're about to have some fun. Yo, head over. Yeah. Just mingling and talking. Bosses.
It's a little bit too soft. We're going to have a mommy shot. So I want you all to head over to the bar so you can get your cup. If you don't drink, sorry for you. That's what we're mixing and mingling tonight. So I need everyone to have a shot. I'm gonna give you a chance to do that, and then I'm gonna do a little toast, okay? But the mommy mixer was curated by myself and Paige. And so we are just now bringing it back. It's been a little over a year because you know life was life in last year. So this is not the last one we need to see y'all at if y'all are in Atlanta. Okay? We will be doing these more. So just stay tuned on our pages. I don't have a date, so TBD. But yeah, so I thought I had a shot. More toast in mine, but I don't want to cry. So, I just, you know, I gotta savor this space because Delisa did a great job. Raise your hand. And she's a mom, and she, listen, this is what I do it for because some of us have not had a good mom's night out, a break. And that's what tonight is. Tonight is for you to let your hair down. Put it down. Ain't no judgment here. If you need to pop, I can drop it back for you. Do what you need to do because let me tell you, I'm gonna be in rare form, so don't judge me when you see me.
Period.
I'm gonna have a couple more of these. But no, this is to all of you here, all the amazing moms who showed up for yourselves tonight and this weekend. I want to celebrate you, so I am toasting to all of you, boss mom, boss women, and cheers.
Period. Cheers, ladies.
Wait. Extra sauce. Okay, so for those who don't know, I do the Boss Mom conference for my birthday. My birthday is next week. I will be 32. But I always like to do it, you know, before my birthday because I'm trying to be on somebody's beach naked. But so that's so toast to 32 and toast to all of you.
Cheers. Cheers, y'all. Hey y'all, good morning. It's the next day and we headed to the event. Yeah. Today's the Boss Mom 3-year mommy mixer. So we're gonna be networking, mingling, eating. They got mimosas, food vendors and all that. So if you're located in Georgia, go and head over to the Boss Mom page and go check her out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video to somebody you think will like my content. And thank you. Bye y'all. Have a good Sunday. We just made it and we headed in, y'all. It looks so nice. It's the black trucks for me. Hey, ballet, period. So fancy. Fancy. Oh, bitch, we finna go through here. We finna go through here. Ooh. Do I push it? Oh, baby, that is looking. It's nice up in here. Period. Need all the child care services, boo.
necessary. I pray that she gets it today and that she won't leave here the same, that she will apply the things that she needs to apply moving forward. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all look so good. Can y'all turn to somebody and say, girl, you look good. And I'm excited that y'all are about to have an amazing, transformative time, okay? All right, and I was in the shower this morning. That might be a little TMI. But I was just thinking, like, God, how ironic is it? The shower was 10 this morning. After that good sleep, when nobody wakes me up, some oatmeal, okay? But I was in the shower and I was like, God, this event is taking place on the first day of the time change, right? You had to spring forward, right? And so I hope that you will really take that with you as you leave here. Spring forward. Don't waste your ticket here. Don't waste that drive here. Don't waste the oil that you're going to receive today. You're going to get something from one of these candles. Don't just leave it here. Take it and apply it. Because it's one thing to be in the room, but it's another thing to actually take what you got from that room and apply it to your life, okay? So by the time we meet up next year, you're going to have some testimonies. You're going to say, girl, guess how the Lord blessed my business. Girl, guess how I grew as a mom, okay? So by this time next year, and even before that, I want some testimonies, all right? But don't leave it. Don't leave it here today. Our first workshop is going to be from Miss Nishay Moore. Nishay is a dedicated wife and mother of 3 boys. Okay, boy, mom. And she served our country in the Navy during Operation Odyssey Dawn. Nishay is a clinical rehab counselor pairing her knowledge of visible and invisible disabilities with a complex arena of perinatal and postpartum disorders. And she's going to be leading us in moms and mental health. Y'all ready? Yes. All right, let's give a round of applause for Miss Nishay Moore.
I'm so happy to see you guys. I'm so happy to be here in my element with mental health. I think it is a part of every part of our lives. I think it pours into every space, whether it be how you feel when you wake up in the morning, how you show up as a mother, what you look like when you show up at your job, or as an entrepreneur when you show up to the people that you are called to lead. And so I want to make sure that we are setting our minds with the intention to receive. If you would reach under your seat, there should be a cup. I know they gave me microphones, but I really don't feel like you guys have any problem hearing me. Okay. Okay. So take note of that pretty little pin. It is the beginning of the exercise. There's 5 note cards in there. All of us can identify with motherhood, the struggles that come with it, how it has grown us as women, how it has revealed us to ourselves. I would like you to write on each card an affirmation that you need to hear. I'm capable. I'm perfectly seated. I wasn't ready, but I'm able. I'm in charge of the day. The day is not in charge of me. It's hard, but I can do hard things. I need you to write 5 different things on each one of those cards. It doesn't even matter if it's all internal, it can be external. Your mom bod is bonding, baby. Something you need to hear, something you may not often tell yourself, something that you know needs to be said, and maybe you hide it in the back of your subconscious because you don't feel like you're worthy of hearing it. Write that on that paper now. I've been a mom for about 5 years, so I'm new in the game. But I have a 5, 3, and 1-year-old, so. I've been in the upside down for a minute, is what I call it. And I've had to affirm myself each step of the way because each child showed me something new about myself. Each child was different. They showed me something different about myself They've called me to be a different version for each one of them, and I don't have a large support. I don't have a large network. I haven't exposed it very largely, but I'll do it here in this room. I feel safe. My mother has early onset Alzheimer's. She's 57. So I can't call my mama when these kids get on my nerves. It's me on me. So what I'm asking you to do is to write on these cards something that you need to hear when you hear everybody else talk. When you know your girlfriend's struggling with a kid just like you are. When your partner or your spouse doesn't quite seem to get why you're so irritated or frustrated, I need you to write 5 things on those cards. And then fold them half. We all know what it's like to pour from an empty cup. Granted, the world tells us not to do it, but we all know what it's like to do it, because we do it every day. We show up with grains and sediment at the bottom of that cup, and we're still pouring. We're still expecting for great things to come from out of that cup when there's very little in it, right? And what I'm asking you to do is, not just for today, but going forward, let this be the year where you stop doing that. You pour into your cup first, and then you give everybody else what's left. Because if they didn't get it, it might not be their turn, and that's just plain and simple, right? But somebody came into here today with a cup that's empty. Somebody came in here with nothing in their cup. For my introverts, don't cringe too tight. For my extroverts, it's our time. Ladies, I need you to take each one of those cards and go put that in somebody else's cup. Go fill her cup. Ladies, if you would, a song with me. Go fill a song. And then the cup of window short, so I need you to get on up. Go ahead and fill her cup. You don't even have to tell her which card you put in her cup. Just fill her cup. Let no woman leave here without an extra card in her cup. Mama, you are strong.
I didn't fold them, so do you have your cup already?
We're switching one, right?
I think she said fold them. Too far. Y'all love your outfit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I gave all my outfits. Do I keep passing them out?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Thought that same thing about themselves. So no matter what the enemy says, no matter how you feel, you are not alone. You are not doing this alone. You are not doing it wrong. You are not so confused that you're just not going to do it all. Somebody else who you did not know before you walked in this room felt the exact same way, because the exercise began with them writing. What is in your cup? The biggest trick of the enemy is to make you think you do it by yourself. by yourself. I promise you, all three of the kids will be at the house waiting for you to feed them like they got a whole They all will be waiting for me. Because apparently I don't know who know how to make noodles. Or cut the sandwich just right. And you can take that and it can be too much, or you can take it and be like, because I'm doing it just right, then I'm just right for them. Join me very briefly before I exit you for the moment, before I go into another panel. I would like you to take a deep breath in and release that breath. Please place a hand on your heart and take another deep breath in. And right there, pull it in even more. And release. I think on an average basis, we just breathe because it's something we're supposed to do, like blinking. You don't even realize the capacity in your lungs. Take a deep breath in. And take it in again. And release any anxiety that you may have had this morning about getting ready and driving. Let it out. Okay. Take another deep breath, full of intention of what you hope to get from out of this day. And I ask you to release it again. We don't care if they asked you how long you're going to be gone today. You'll be back when you get there. We don't care if they got to make that clothes when we get back. Or if they eat when we get back. They alive when we get back. I could not have told you these things as a first-time mom. Postpartum anxiety had me by a chokehold. But as a third-time mom, I can tell you, it's going to be all right. Ladies, I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves, and I hope you get more than you anticipate from all of these panels.
And I'm so excited because the women that I have the honor to be able to speak to today have been able to tap into their more. And hopefully by the end of the day, through all the panels, through the speakers, and engaging with the vendors, you guys will walk away feeling that you've gotten more than you came with. And so without further ado, I want to come and bring up some of the dynamic women that are going to be joining me today. The first person I want to bring up is actually a fellow Leo. How many Leos are in the building? Woo! Okay. We got July or August Leos? August. July. Okay. August 20th. But this lady is so beautiful, so powerful. I'm so excited to get to know more of her story. And if you're wanting to learn, how do I turn my passion into profit? I think one way that you do that is by exposure to being able to network and be around high-level people. How many of you would like for your business to be engaged with celebrities? Okay, so she's going to do that. So without further ado, she's going to teach you how. Let me bring up right now Miss Indy. Make some noise for Miss Indy. Okay, now she's coming up. I want to bring up someone else that I just recently met. I'm excited to talk to. Y'all, I asked all the panelists, what's something interesting about them? And we all kind of struggle with that. And I think that's just kind of like an overall sentiment. We struggle with finding out what is so fascinating, what is interesting about me. But this woman said something that I can relate to. She sings all the time, but she can't actually sing. Can anybody relate to that? Yes. That's you. How to be able to scale and implement strategy into your business. So please welcome to the stage, Marquita. Okay, next up, I want to bring up another woman who has actually been an influence to me and very inspiring story to kind of like be able to fulfill your dream, right? To step out with a leap of faith and actually go and do the thing, finally. And so she did that by starting her own studio for lashes, and she's living the dream now. And she has a team and a fully functioning business, and she's going to tell you how you can do the same. So please welcome to the stage, Ashley. And last but not least, how many of you know that to start a business is one thing, but to have like an official, proper business is another thing? Yes. It's easy to just say like, I'm gonna open a business, but to actually have it official on paper is a whole other ball game. And so I want to bring up the next speaker who's going to teach you about how to really cement your business in the realm of trademarking. She is a lawyer. She is still breastfeeding. She's been breastfeeding since she became an entrepreneur, so I hear. And so I'm excited to hear her story and about how I can actually make my business official on paper. So welcome to the stage, Miss Erica. right, so let's get to the conversation because we have to have an accelerated conversation now, but we can get it done. So I want to start off by asking you guys that because we're talking about turning your passion into profit, right? It's one thing to have a dream, to think about something that you really care about. But if any of you guys could answer to this question, what was the moment, I guess, if there was an isolated moment when you decided, okay, this is something that I think I love doing, I want to actually step out and pursue it?
Entrepreneurship in general,
Yeah,
or?
and entrepreneurship in your individual businesses.
I think for me is realizing that when you work for someone, it's always like kind of like a shadow over you. You're limiting yourself to a certain degree. You're not really fully living in your purpose day in and day out. And so for me, it was the turn of the pandemic where I either continued as an associate attorney at a law firm, or I stepped away and started my own law firm, which would afford me the opportunity to make more time for my family. I'm sure we've probably all made some type of decision to start our business to make more time for our family, right? Then we all found out that entrepreneurship is even more time intensive. But for me, it was that moment. Because it was something that I was scared to do. I thought that I needed more experience. I thought that I needed to, be up under all of these different people and learn what they did and what they did well and figure out more about myself. And so it was that moment that kind of forced me to overcome fear and to really just push into it. And so I just took it and ran from there.
Sorry?
Answer that question?
Yeah, sure.
So for me, I have 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl, and I feel like my moment was having my daughter. I feel like we're in a generation where a lot of us look at social media and we want to be like the people that we see on social media, and I just wanted to be the person that my daughter wants to be like. So, being in the beauty industry, uplifting women, chasing dreams, I want her to role model me as a wife, as a mom. It's just like everything. So that was my thing.
I feel like entrepreneurship kind of chose me in a little bit because, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. I remember being in Agassi shopping, and it was either give me something to wear. This is when I was going to the club, okay? It was either get this outfit so I could look cute in the club, or my lights were going to be cut off, or I was going to get that eviction notice on the door. Coming from Chicago, we knew hustle, right? And so, I don't know, I just had this eureka moment, that moment in the store where I was just like, I can't keep going through this hamster wheel of life. I never saw an entrepreneur. I never knew anybody that was an entrepreneur. And I knew I liked clothes, and it was just, my first business was a boutique, and it was just kind of like, if I can get these clothes wholesale, didn't have a vendor, didn't have the blueprint, but it was that eureka moment. And I said, if I can get the clothes wholesale, I'll have something to wear, and I can make money. And it was at that moment, I turned that passion into building out my first boutique business. So I feel like it kind of showed me a little bit.
You want to speak to that, or you want to? Okay. Indy, I wanted to ask you too, because I think it's fascinating, really what you do, because you help other people to curate, these memorable events. And I think that's something that's obviously profitable, right? When you think of starting a business, at some point when you want to scale, you want to have an event. Can you kind of speak to like some of the intangibles that people maybe normally don't think about when it comes to actually putting on an event and how it can actually help them scale in business?
So when putting on an event initially, when most people just see the outcome of it, right? And they think it's just easy, but the hardest part of putting on an impactful event is the budget, right? You have to be very mindful and understand that you're not gonna have a first event and make $100,000 or thousands of dollars at that. Because my first event I had in 2017, I made zero profit. I actually was in the red, right? And I learned a lot through trial and error of putting that event on to the second, third, fourth event, making it profitable. But a lot of it goes into it, just trying to create a budget, sticking to a budget, and making sure you build a team that you can trust, a team that kind of has the same outlook for the event and a passion for the actual event, and not just someone that's just helping out. So Yeah, but it's not as easy as it looks. It's very impactful, and if you do it the right way, it can become profitable. But if you start events and you see your first or second event is not profitable, just keep going. Don't give up. If you stay a course and you're doing it for the right reason and not doing it just for $1 and you're doing it for a purpose, it'll thrive.
I love that. Okay.
Know a little bit about you, and how about just one takeaway so far you got from the summit?
My name is Chantel Nelson. I am a business owner from Detroit. So we have some Detroit natives in here, I believe. Got Steve around now, shout out to Detroit. But I own a business where I do PR marketing, event production, and I'm just happy to be here. One of my takeaways was from the how to balance motherhood and professional careers. I really loved hearing the stories about how you all got back into the workspace after taking maternity leaves, and I got a lot of tips from that, and so I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
I love that. Welcome.
Hey again. Ms. Shay Moore, maternal mental health therapist. I navigate all spaces of transition, veterans back into the civilian world, stay-at-home mothers to working force mothers, disabled individuals to able-bodied professions, and mothers through Natural Essence.
Hey y'all, I'm Kayla. A lot of y'all know me from the bartending. So if you've attended any Boss Mom events or other events, y'all have seen me behind the bar. But I'm also a mom. I have an 8-year-old. I'm from Detroit. Family Rattler. Yay. I'm also the creator of If My Hair Could Talk. It's an immersive art experience.
I just had to make sure.
Today, because we're moms. I created an immersive art experience that focuses on celebrating Black hair. I'm in my 4th year, so.
All right. Well, again, let's give a round of applause. All right. So, straight out the gate, let's talk about it. Cannabis. We know sometimes there's a negative stigma to that. Not only a negative stigma, just civilians doing it, but also women, right? So you all, how can you speak to that and kind of navigating those spaces where they may say, oh my God, you're a mom and you smoke, or you eat cannabis, or whatever? How do you deal with that? You're a mom. They love to throw that in first. You a mom? Like, why? A mom? Why can't you do that?
But I'm glad you asked that. So coming from Detroit and living in Michigan, as you know, it's legal and it's allowed. And so the main thing that I always say is you don't have to actually sacrifice your integrity when you decide that you want to indulge in that. I'm an advocate of making sure that that stigma is removed, because we all have to kind of meet people where we are, and you don't know another person's story, you don't know how different things can affect others. And so when you use cannabis, you have to kind of think about how it shows up for you. I know some people enjoy consuming it via smoke, some people like gummies, some people like other substances, like you can buy coffees, just so many different things. And there's really a scientific aspect to it when you really get into the benefits of CBD and how it actually affects our mental health and behavioral health. So many different layers of why it should be kind of destigmatized and making sure that we are not judged by the usage, because it is allowed. And I'm hoping that all 50 states can be on the way soon.
I am not a huge proponent of anybody bullying a mom or a woman for any decision that she makes for any phase of her life. You'll find that different professions use different things to cope. So like, nobody's judging a doctor for drinking coffee 13,000 hours a day, right? But caffeine is highly addictive. Sugar is highly addictive, but it's okay if you have an on-demand job that requires it. When all studies have shown that motherhood is the most demanding job without breaks, with no pay. There are no benefits.
The ghetto is hood out there. There's motherhood.
And so as we continue to expand and find different coping mechanisms, for someone to say that you're wrong to partake in that when it's actually enabling you to show up as your best self, whatever that is, I am not a proponent of supporting and endorsing that. So my hope is that you have the courage to advocate for yourself for whatever your coping mechanism is, in whatever form it comes in.
I totally agree. I think that a big part of removing the stigma is also like living in your truth, right? Like having the confidence to be like, this is something that I do. This is something that I'm continuously educating myself on. This is something that I'm using to navigate not only these spaces as a mom, but also like as a human being who's growing and transitioning into different stages. But it is a confidence thing because, you know, when you walk into rooms or you're having these conversations with maybe older moms or non-traditional people, and you're like, oh yeah, I partake. They're like, ew. No, you're not supposed to do that. But it's like, yes, I do this, and this is something that allows me to sit here and be on this panel with you all, and be in this room with you all. Like, we're all sharing these spaces together. So it's really important to live in your own truth, and that's like the first step for me, removing the stigma to it.
And you know something funny? You just mentioned, living your truth. Truth is, about 65% of Americans actually use cannabis. And so, I'm pretty sure, like, you guys don't have to raise your hands.
Well, feel free if you want to live your truth.
But you know who you are, and it's okay. And I just really want everyone to feel comfortable within themselves. You know, we go through many cycles in our lives, and the self-awareness journey and the self-preservation journey and the wellness of ourselves is just ever-changing. It's ongoing. So just FYI, it's okay. And I just really want everyone to just be comfortable enough. You can probably look to your left and look to your right, and they probably consume when it's fine.
Now, cannabis has been associated with relaxation and helping with mental health and all the things that we need every day going through this motherhood journey. If there was a woman in here that wanted to indulge or wanted to learn a little bit more about it, what advice can you give them to where should they start? Where should they go? What are we looking for?
So I would like to start with first, get a diagnosis, right? Because there's different strands of marijuana, and what you don't want is to be a hyperactive brain naturally and take something that makes it worse, right? And so leave TikTok and the memes alone. Get a real therapist to diagnose you and go from there. And then once you know what your brain runs on naturally, my brain runs high. Like, I'm always, maybe it's because I'm a firstborn, or maybe because I'm just a high-driven woman. All the things all at once, right? So me needing to take something that throttles me down would be the best use for me. So my suggestion would be to start with getting a real diagnosis. Unless you really just trust yourself and you can self-analyze, which I don't truly endorse, but for some of us, we are a little bit more self-aware. If you've been on this journey of self-awareness, as she said, for a while, then you pretty much know where you are with things and being true to yourself about what that is, and then go from there. Don't just start taking because Cousin Pookie had something. It would really paint the journey for you, and it could really be something that could have been good for you at one point or another. No different than if you're already a high-strung person, you should probably veer away from caffeine. So knowing which strand is going to best support where your natural baseline brain is where you should start.
I didn't get a diagnosis first.
Yeah.
So just full transparency, when I found out I was having my daughter, I was in my last semester of college. I found out I was 13 weeks already. So I had already been like living my best life. And so, you know, like, I don't know how it is for other moms, but when I first found out I was pregnant, that's when all the symptoms kicked in. So that's when the nausea kicked in, that's when everything kicked in. And I was like, my life is about to change forever, but I need to eat. I can't keep throwing up, I can't keep doing this, I need to do something. And so my first consultant was my grandmother. I was like, yo, look, I need your advice. She was a medical professional. She delivered babies right along with my grandfather. So I was immersed in that life of having like health educated people in my home. However, cannabis wasn't a friendly topic in my family. We're Caribbean. They're very religious, so it was different for me. However, I needed to have that real conversation because I knew that as a mom, I had to show up for a child that I didn't even know. and that was my first step. That was my non-diagnosis.
So I have a question. How do we feel about cannabis while pregnant? Is that a thing? Is that something that can happen?
I do not recommend. If you want to take a stab at that.
Because I know my mom did, I'm not gonna lie. Full transparency. Not with me though, but with my youngest sister. No, I was okay. She used to. I'm kidding.
Short to define that, so cannabis is a general category. There are levels of cannabis like THC, weed, and then your CBD. So there are other things that you do need to research, and then also just piggybacking on what you said, I'm gonna let you get back to that, but piggybacking on what you said, when you want to be educated in your decisions and how you consume. So in Michigan and all of the other states that are legal, there are dispensaries that you can actually go into where the products are tested to make sure that they're using the most quality resin for the actual products, and then making sure that you have like someone there that you can talk to about what the effects would be or what strain you should use in your sativa or whatever the case may be. So there are some nuances when it comes to learning about cannabis and its industry as a whole. So I do want to make sure that we define that there's two different.
Well, she just took it, so I guess ease the pain, made her sit still a little bit and calm down. So, and she didn't go crazy, but she had a couple of puffs and she would be like, all right, I'm good now. And I would look at her like, is that okay? Like, can you do that? And again, you asked Pookie across the street and he said, you good, you're fine. And my sister fine, but I'm just curious, can you?
I am not a medical physician. I am a therapist. It is a soft science. Starting there, yes, you absolutely can. Just like if you have a Pacific Islander and they eat seafood as their full diet, but over here in the Western culture they say don't eat any shellfish or seafoods. Say why? You have Caribbean people and you have Hispanic people and you can't eat spicy foods, and that's like peppers and tahini on everything. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So I think there's a lot of standards for Western culture, and I'm gonna get all the way on my soapbox with this, where they have tried to control and manipulate all of the journeys so that they can best study and calculate and predict outcomes, right? And so you have to be pregnant for this long, and if you're not, well, then you're overdue. But you guessed when my last period was, you guessed when I got pregnant, when I gotta have my baby by this time. I don't really know how I feel about that. And so there's so many different guidelines. I mean, even the BMI as a military person, most black people don't fit under those regulations. You're too tall, too fat, too whatever, and it's not fair. You're gonna fail every time. And so when it comes to what you can do while you're pregnant, again, with the proper team coaching you and holding your hand through that, which is why I'm a big proponent of doulas and midwives, and there's a space for medical doctors. I had all three of my kids in the hospital, but there's also a space for other people who are not so traditional to come outside of those boxes and to say that if your anxiety is high, I went into pregnancy with PTSD, and I'm a combat veteran, not just a reservist. I went and fought for this country, and I seen some shit. And so I went into pregnancy with trauma. That didn't go away just because I got pregnant. That meant my nightmares got worse. That meant my anxiety about being pregnant in a world that doesn't care about black people got worse. And so I had to find different ways to cope through that. And so what I suggest to you is, if this is something that you want to do, I had seafood with my family. I'm from Philly, and we eat sandwiches and bagels, and I had sandwiches with all three of my pregnancies, right? And so like, I think anything in moderation, there's a space and a time for. If you are trying to ignore what's happening, I want to be elevated so that I don't acknowledge that I'm pregnant, I don't endorse that. If I need to be out with my friends so that I can be removed from my responsibilities, I don't endorse that. But if my nausea in pregnancy is so bad that I'm not eating and keeping food down, you might need something to help your appetite. Because the consequences are then not just on you, but the baby. Right? And so at the end of the day, whatever you need to do to protect the child and keep yourself together is what I endorse. So to answer your question, there is a time and a space and an amount of marijuana use in pregnancy. Breastfeeding.
That's why my sister, okay. So mindful parenting is essential for healthy family dynamics. Can you guys share specific practices or rituals involving cannabis that are stronger in those areas?
So it's funny that you should mention that there's a self-care routine that we should all have. If you don't have one, please adopt one immediately. But I usually work that into my self-care routine, and the funny thing is I'm actually married to a police officer. And so it was always legal to use cannabis in Michigan, and so that was a struggle. And you talk about family dynamics and respecting, his point of view, and I always did, and so that mattered too. And it just really was something that I had to do in order to shape up what my self-care routine is. So it's helped, and I'm in a good space with it.
My daughter's 8 now, so I'm a little bit more regulated to where I don't need to partake as much as I used to. I'm more CBD based, and I'll have a fun edible every now and again. But I think that the morning routine, how you start your day, sets the tone for a lot of things. And just what we were speaking on earlier, like just doing your research, I had a doula and a midwife, and I also had a regular OBGYN who was a very progressive white lady. And have your team, and also making sure like you're checking in with yourself and your therapist. Don't wait until you're feeling postpartum symptoms to find your therapist. Start looking, start going into therapy early. And when you want to have questions about partaking more, partaking less, be sure to find people who are open to having those conversations and having that dialogue with you. It's super important.
And when it comes to the postpartum, I do suggest to check out all of your CBD alternatives, because unlike THC, the less you take it, like the lower the dosage, the lower anxiety you will have if that's what you're facing. And then like, the more that you indulge, it increases the actual anxiety, whereas CBD, the anxiety level is not increased at all. It's strictly used for the decrease of anxiety. So if you are looking, I would say, please, postpartum, anything along those lines, you do want to check out CBD.
Now, we briefly talked about it in the beginning, but if there's a mom in here that may be indulging and doesn't know how to communicate that to her family, she's hiding it. She's in the car. She's doing it at work. She's spraying her perfume. You have that conversation. How do you tell your husband or your friends? They probably do know, but they need to tell me too, so she can feel comfortable doing it around me. How do you have that conversation with your family, friends, loved ones?
You want to use it?
I'm real big on bringing the third party. Sometimes when people are very hard stance in one posture, it's hard for them to hear what you're saying. And so all they hear is, you want to be high. And they don't even understand, one, I think there are incredible dads, I think they're incredible partners, but until you have carried a life and birthed a life, you do not understand what it is like to carry a life and birth a life. And with that, sometimes you need someone to be in the middle to kind of articulate and translate what you're saying. So I'm tired. No, it's beyond tired. You are literally enduring torture tactics with sleep deprivation. That's a torture tactic, right? You're literally enduring torture tactics with isolation, right? You're literally trying to navigate this new phase of life, which is all consuming and demanding. Most Black women are conditioned to believe that you need to be less needy and less thirsty, right? And then you get into motherhood where this thing wants you, needs you, don't get your breast sting, and it's thirsty. It does not, like, you don't get a break from them. And it's one that's the biggest indicator that you're doing it right. You're creating a secure bond with your child. It is also very overwhelming and overstimulating. And to the parent that leaves the house in that demand, and then don't tackle breastfeeding baby. Yeah. So sometimes I believe it's always important, or it can be very beneficial to bring in a third person to be able to articulate what you're trying to say and maybe unable to because emotions are high, and what they should be hearing and what their concerns are to you, instead of I just don't want you to do it, what their concerns are. So the third person in the middle, I think, is helpful. And that doesn't have to be a professional. It could be somebody you guys trust. I'm gonna start it and I'm gonna be real quick about it. I do not partake in marijuana use.
at this point in my life. But I do have an addiction. I'm on coffee all day, baby. And my kids are so aware of it. They know what my coffee cup means. They know the signature of it. They know what it smells like. And so it's a conversation that needs to be had with them because I didn't start drinking coffee until I was 30, right? And so it's a conversation, and it's always age-appropriate conversations. No different than if you're always in workout apparel, but you ain't working out. Being honest with your kids.
That hurt. Because I'm part of she is me. Sometimes.
Being honest, my thing is if your kids are bold enough to ask the question, or they're motivated enough or curious enough to ask the question, then you should be able to meet them and answer it to the best of your ability, age appropriate wise. Whatever that question is, if they catch you and daddy in the bang bang room, have an answer. Because here's the thing, we're in a world now where the world's talking about everything, regardless of whether you're doing it or not. And if you can be the first line of defense where the knowledge is laid, I prefer that than for them to get it anywhere else. And then you know what they heard.
Just really quick, my daughter's known what my magic cigar was since she was 4. Like, she'd come out on the porch, you can't stop kids during COVID, she was home. I'd be outside on the porch and I'd be like, hey, I'm taking a moment with the magic cigar girl. Please go back in the house. Now she's 8, she knows it's the same thing. She sees her dad with his magic cigar at his house, and she knows that that's something for adults that she does not touch. She doesn't have any super intense questions about it, but I think that essentially you should open up the floor to it so that it happens in the household and that the kids aren't finding out elsewhere. My parents hid the fact that they smoked up until I was an adult, and I was like, what? I wish that they would have had that conversation with me, because then I wouldn't have had to go find out the difference between the strains and the sativas and the indicas. Like, it's okay to have conversations that are hard with your kids. It's not scary. And the partaking isn't a bad thing, right? So we're here now.
I was gonna just say really quickly, I know we have to wrap up, but I keep saying this, just like I mentioned before, you are also not hiding it, they know. The kids actually know of what they know exactly what it is, like they have access to so many things. And so if we think about where we were, if we were a teenager and you tried, or whatever the case may be, their knowledge is times 10, it's times 1,000. And so if they're 13, they're vaping in schools now. Like this is happening in middle schools. And so I just want to say, yes, you do need to have that conversation. I also have a 13-year-old. I'm going to have the conversation. I do not agree with, pulling the wool over their eyes and making sure that you hide certain things, because then they're going to hide it from you, and now we have a cycle, and then that can trickle on into other things that we're hiding. Everybody's hiding. So that's not what we want. And I can guarantee that they kind of already know if this is what's actually happening. So, and then be careful. You can also use your own judgment to know when you should consume. You might not want to, if they're comfortable, if they're an infant, you may not want to be smoking in the next room. I don't know. And it all depends on how you actually consume it. But you'd have to be the judge as to when you would do it, just to even, give yourself that level playing field so that your kid will know when those boundary times are, whatever the case may be. But they're very aware at a very young age.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Some of your things, your entrepreneur goals. So I was so used to posting content, and doing media, being a storyteller. Then that slowed down because I got pregnant, and I didn't have anything to post. Lo and behold, I'm like, okay, let me start just looking at new content to create. So I create this Instagram reel involving being pregnant. Just on a whim, I'll just post it right now. The reel got almost 4 million views. And I didn't plan it, I didn't think about how to do it, there was no real strategy. It was just based on me actually going for it and just, believing in myself. And that's the thing about content and being a content creator, is you kind of never know what's going to happen or what it's going to do for you. But I want to invite you guys today to rest in the knowledge that you don't always have to have it all figured out, especially when it comes to creating content, because it can get very, very convoluted. And so today with the panel, I want you guys to kind of take in what they have to teach you, because they've been able to make really, really significant strides when it comes to building their brands, becoming successful as content creators. So let me bring them up with me right now. Let's see. I got a really dynamic panel. I'm gonna bring up this lady first. She is the true epitome of what you would consider a boy mom. She doesn't have not one son, not two sons, not three sons, not four sons. 5 sons. Yes. Are you going for 6? We're done. She is an incredible woman who has fully become a full-time YouTuber. She's going to tell you how she's making money doing that. So welcome to the stage, Ms. Tiffany. All right, next up, I'm really interested to hear, because we think boss mom, sometimes we think you have to be out doing it, moving and shaking and grooving and making all these things happen for you. But you don't always think that you can do that at home as a stay-at-home mom. And there's a panelist that I want to bring up who is actually a recovering people pleaser. And so she's going to talk about how she's making strides as a stay-at-home mom. You guys make some noise for Trey. All right, and last but not least, this narrative I'm very interested to hear from the perspective of the next panelist, who is actually teaching you more about what it takes to be in the LGBTQ plus community in a 2-mom household, and what it takes to create content under that realm, and helping to also introduce people to new narratives around that specific topic. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Jamila Vanilla. All right. What's not trending? I'm going to ask you guys, when it comes to you actually creating content, would you say that it's more of an art or a science?
I'll go first. I think it's both. I think it is a science because I definitely think it's important as you do create content to be in tune with your audience. Like, you definitely have to look at your analytics, you have to see what works, what doesn't work, you have to really understand what your people like, because you can be making content, but if your people who follow you don't like that content, it's pointless. It's not going to get across the way it needs to get across. But it's also an art because you have to be true and authentic to yourself and who you are as a person. Sometimes I think, just as a content creator, you struggle with does this look perfect enough? Is this right? Are people gonna like it? But I think if you be yourself and you show your personality, and somebody who does that, we all know is Cardi B. She gonna get online, she gonna show her ass. But one thing about it, you gonna know she gonna do it offline, online, because that's just who she is. And I think that's what people love about her, is because they can see that that's her authentic self, and she's not putting on a personality for you to feel comfortable with.
Do you want to speak to that?
Our brand, I actually have a brand with my wife, and we have a couple of content pillars. Trending is only one of those pillars, because trending is fun and getting the content seen is fun, but when I think about our core community that we built, they want to know lifestyle. What are we doing? How are we raising our kids? When I work with brands, it's only been 1 or 2 brands that have said, I found you through trending content. Brands, when I ask them, how did you find us? What attracted you? They pull my content of my kids. They'll pull something that only has 5,000 views. And I'm like, oh, so this is what? So that got me out of the mindset of viral trending, especially if you're a non-traditional family. If something goes viral, you already know it could get in the wrong community, and then you're waking up to hate comments. So my biggest thing is staying true to ourselves, our content pillars, and if it's trending and it goes viral, that was the goal, okay, that's good, but always make sure I'm authentic to our community.
I want to unpack that a little bit, because that word, being authentic, I want to talk about that in conjunction with whether or not when it comes to content creation, when to be authentic versus being transparent, and not wanting to give out so much information, but also not being absent from telling your fan base and the people who follow you more in depth about who you are. So how would you guys kind of decipher when to post content that is personal versus like when to keep things, you know, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When would you know when to like post content for people to know, and how do you know when to keep something private, that balance?
For me, it's when I'm no longer sensitive about it. So my wife and I shared the one time we thought about divorce. If someone's in the comments and they start taking, oh, I'm on Q's side or I'm on Jamila's side, and I feel some type of way about that, and then that's gonna then ultimately start a conversation or argument with my wife, that's not a topic that I need to talk about online. So it's based upon my comfort, and I think it's also boundaries. Also, if I have a story that deals like with my dad or my mom and they're private, I'm not gonna have that content, because how would I feel if I'm a friend and I go online and my friend is talking about an argument that me and her just had? That doesn't feel good from that perspective. So I always think about that. When I want to share something, how much of it is my story and how attached to it am I that if a comment comes, I'm gonna be derailed the rest of the day.
Tiff, more specifically with you, you get very vulnerable and transparent on your podcast, Take Two. So can you talk a little bit about how you were able to kind of like embrace your struggles and, you know, make them part of your story, and how you've been able to be successful today?
So my original content is family-based long-form content. It's episodic, kind of like My Wife and Kids, it's scripted content. For a while, I struggled because there was another side of me that I felt like people didn't know. I felt like people see my family and was like, oh, it just seems so perfect. But I am a divorced woman. I had 3 kids. My ex-husband is bisexual, and I found out in our marriage, so that was one of the reasons I had to leave. And it took me a long time to come to terms with this information, because for a very long time I blamed myself. I had a lot of regret. I was beating myself up over it. I had boys. I was like, oh my God, like what did I do? So I was speaking to a young lady, Samaya. She was my producer for my podcast, Take Two with Tiff. And she was like, you have to get your story out, because there's women who's going through the same thing as you who need this to heal. They need to understand that like where you are now, you weren't. They need to understand you were broke at one time. They need to understand you were struggling. They need to understand you overcame all these things to build this business and this brand, and it doesn't just need to look so cookie cutter clean. So when I sat down to do my podcast, oh baby, I had some tears. I cried on my podcast. You hear the snot. I just can't believe it. But you know, what came from me that let me and allowed me to open up that side of me was understanding that a lot of times when I was speaking to other women in private, or I meet at an event and I may share a portion of the story, it took them to help heal me. It took me sharing a part of myself to hear something back from them. And they would be like, it's okay, because maybe I didn't go through that, but I went through a certain aspect of it. And it makes you feel like, damn, I'm not the only one now. So I kind of took that into consideration to say, there's somebody out there who needs my story. And they need to know it's gonna be okay. They need to know it doesn't matter if you have kids, you need to leave. Whatever it is, like whatever's gonna make you happy and make you successful, make you grow as a woman, that's okay, and don't feel judged doing it. So that was like my moment of coming to Jesus to share my story, to let other women know, like, it's okay, baby, like, you can get through this, you can be great, and you can share your story, because baby, we all have been a fool at one point in time, and that's okay.
Speaking of judgment, Trey, we're gonna talk today, Trey. Okay, you sit up there quiet. She's like, oh, they sound good. It's on. I think what's really interesting, because Tiff just said judgment, it also makes me work or stay-at-home moms. Can you talk to like how you've been able to build content around that and the narrative that you're trying to spread, you know, essentially breaking the stigma that it's okay to be a stay-at-home mom?
Okay. I came from a lineage of very strong, very independent women, and so even the thought of like becoming a stay-at-home mom was like frowned upon, especially I feel like in the Black community. So when I did it, you know, for my family. We talked about it, me and my husband, and we're like, okay, here we go. And I'm like, I'm not doing this, I hate this, but it was actually something that really worked for my family. And trying to just, that's why I started my content, because I feel like it was not a lot of Black stay-at-home moms that felt like they were seen and felt like they could be heard. And when I started creating the content, I met other moms like, oh, I'm not alone. They're out there, and they go through the struggles. They feel like, you know, the mom guilt sometimes because you can't give your kids as much because you're on one income. So once I created that space and built that community, I was like, oh, this is good. So I didn't feel alone in the journey. So,
Is this like something that's temporary? Is this like a long-term thing? Like, do you have the desire to not be a stay-at-home mom, or you feel like you can kind of rest in this position?
I feel like for me, when I started thinking about it, I feel like the corporate world, the workforce will always be there. This season I'm in with my kids right now won't. So I'm just, you know, creating the content, being with my kids, enjoying it. My husband also travels a lot. So we don't have that like family support to get our kids. So it's on us, and it's our little team. So we got to do this together.
Yeah. Speaking of team, Tiff, you have YouTube content that you distribute on a consistent basis. I want you to talk about that because, you know, you have an idea, it starts off small, and then it gets like big, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then it's like, oh my God, I still have to uphold this thing and be a mom. How have you guys been able to juggle, like being content creators, but also not sacrificing your relationships with your children?
That's cute. So I do have a production team that I'm very grateful for, and two of them are here right now. Shout out to the Court Bros. Also, I was grateful to be able to have a parent that supported me. My dad did 15 years in prison, and he got out, he was in his late 50s, and he was doing like yard work, and he was working like as a busser, because I mean, what job you gonna get as a felon? Almost 60, you know what I'm saying? So I told him, I said, listen, this is when I was poor. I said, if you move down here with me, Dad, while I'm in this transition, and you help me get on my feet, I promise you I'm gonna take care of you. And I don't know what he's seen in me, but he said, let me think about it. So he called me back the next day. He said, all right, well, I'm on my way. And I said, okay, thank you. Now, at this point in time, it was me and my 3 kids in like a 2-bedroom apartment. We had tires in the front room. I don't know why, we didn't have no storage. But he came, he crammed in with us, and he rode away with me over the next 2 years. And now he's well taken care of. He gets paid full time to be our nanny. Dad got the car he wants. Like, he's just living his life. And it really takes a village. So if you have people around you who just believe in you and want to see you win, and who can just pour into you, whether that's people who can just watch your kids for a few hours or whatnot, like really take heed to those individuals and make sure that you give them back what they gave to you in the long run. If you don't, though, because there was a point in time I didn't, start with what you have. If you have a camera, start with your camera. Don't get worked up on, I need this equipment, I need this, I need that. Right now, the cameras we shoot with, $10,000, $15,000 cameras. The cameras we started with, baby, $400 cameras. But we worked our way up over the years to get to where we are. So don't compare yourself to people that you see that are doing well, because you don't know how much time they put in. You don't know the work that they did. Sometimes people look on Instagram, especially now, and see people like, oh my God, like it seems like they became that overnight. But if you really go back to their story, they'll tell you it's been 10, 15 years I've been doing this, and nobody has noticed me for real. So the really key is just to stay consistent, work with what you have, and just be true to yourself, and utilize the resources you have around you for the time being, for whatever your level of income is at that time. And as you continue to grow, just up your resources, scale your business.
I would say that, you just reminded me, because you think about people who have longevity when it comes to being content creators. I would say maybe 80% of the room raised their hand when I asked, do they create content? Do they want to get better at creating content? When you've done content creation for so long, what is the actual formula, would you say, it is creating content? Is there a wrong way to do it? Is there a right way? What has worked for you?
I don't think it's an actual formula. When I talk to a lot of people, it's what works for them. So everyone has a different formula, they have a different way that they put social media in their life. That's always my biggest advice, is just really to decide how you want to handle social media. Because me personally, although it's my full-time gig, I don't want to look at my children's childhood through a lens or through videos, through vlogs. I actually want to be there and be present. So we have days, we have activities, although I'm a lifestyle creator, where there's no phone or social media involved. Because I often think about when my children, 20 years from now, are sitting at a therapist, and the therapist is like, well, tell me about your childhood. I don't want them to say, well, my mom was on her phone the whole time, or my mom was in a room, my mom was working all of the time. So I think that's how I try to strike the balance, and that's how I think of my
I want to talk to you some more too, Jamila, because you have an interesting story. When I was meeting you, you said that with your 2 children, you were pregnant once, and then your wife was pregnant once. Talk to me about that decision and what that's meant for you guys so far.
So my wife and I, when I first met her, she's about 5 years older than me, and lesbians tend to move fast. Yes, that is accurate. First meeting, she's like, so how do you feel about being a mom? Because I'm ready to be a mom. And I was like, girl, what's your name? What's your sign? Like, slow down a little. So when we started family planning, she told me from the beginning that she knew she wanted to carry. My wife is masculine presenting. At the time, that was not very popular. That wasn't represented very well. And so she carried our daughter.
To ensure that you're on the right path to get it back with creating content. Ted.
Hello, it's me again. Let me see. When I started about 3 years ago, and I was doing adult comedy. And as soon as I was working a corporate job, and I was doing my job, I was turning my computer on, setting a rock on it, acting like I was on the computer when I was.
Been there.
And as soon as I made my first check that was equivalent to my corporate job, I said, baby, you can see me later, I'm out of here. So I left. But in that moment that I left, I really had to hone in on what I was doing. And it really is like scaling a business. Like, you really have to watch your analytics. You have to see what they like. You have to stay consistent. Don't worry about the numbers. When I first started, my mentor said, baby, don't watch that number, because somebody gonna like that video at some point in time. Don't even worry about it. Just stay being consistent, stay dropping, stay focused on what you're doing. And you just continue to scale. Every year, I made more than I made the last year. What ain't working, you go back and you fix it. You really have to be into analytics, especially on YouTube, just to see, okay, what do the people like? What do they like here? What's this look like? What's this look like? And make content that, what I've learned is, I made more money doing family type content than I did doing adult comedy, because brands and ad revenue does not like pushing things that are too risky. So if you do something that's more safe, informational, clean, something that they feel like they can put in a commercial, they can put anywhere, then they're gonna push you to make more money. Also, get your bag on these other platforms. TikTok, you can make money. Instagram, you can make money. Baby, don't do nothing if you ain't making no money. It's not gonna start off with the money, but don't just do stuff for free. Don't always feel like, oh, I have to take it because it's an opportunity. Because there's been times I've turned stuff down because I'm like, baby, this don't make no sense. You want the 30-second reel, I understand what you're paying me, but 30-second reel could take 4 days sometimes, depending on what you're doing. So I'm like, it has to make sense, and stand firm on your prices and what you feel like you're worth. Because now, with content being, I don't want to say so saturated, but since a lot of people are doing it now, a lot more people are doing it, these brands and things will try to dumb down, because they feel like if you ain't gonna take it, baby, somebody else gonna take it. But you need to stand firm on what your worth is, because at the end of the day, you reaching out to me because you need me to help expand your services. And don't forget that. With YouTube, you do get paid off ad revenue. So YouTube will give you a CPM. I think they changed it now to like an RPM. And what happens is longer form content makes higher CPMs on there because they can put more ads in there. The better, like friendlier, I should say, your video is, the more ad options they have to put in there, like your Tide and like stuff like that. So at first it might be low, but as you continue to drop, don't worry about your subscribers, it's the views. As you continue to drop, then they will start to raise your CPM and your ad revenue will start to go up, and then you can start figuring out where you want to keep and utilize your CPM at. So you might have a video that has like $25 on a CPM. You have a video you might make 30K off of. Whatever that video did, whatever you talk about in that video, try to replicate that in a way where you can do it again, and then you'll see that's what your audience likes, and then that'll help build your fan base also.
Love that. Y'all make some noise for this panel. Woo!
That came from my own pain. Y'all, I was tore down, broke down. Somebody call ambulances, okay? It was a difficult time for me about 5.5 years ago, 50 pounds ago.
You go, girl.
Back then, I wish I knew then what I know now. But the only thing that got me here was the vision that God put deep down in my heart, that there was gonna be a room full of women that needed something. So I had to be willing to go first. I had to be willing to be the one. I had to do something my mom couldn't do. And so you might be the first, but that doesn't mean you'll be the last, right? And so right now, before we get started, I know I got y'all crunk. I want you to put your hand on your chest. This is really for me. Slow down my speaking. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Put your arms in the air. I can't do this because this is a photo shirt and not a standard shirt. All the way. All the way. Take a deep breath and drop them. I guarantee there's a weight that you've been carrying. There's something in your business you've been procrastinating on. There's a meeting that you have tomorrow. I want you to cast all that out. Okay? Forget about it. Because as someone who lost 75 pounds before having kids and had to do it over and over and over, I know a little bit of something about losing weight. But the reality is, it's not always the physical weight. Most of the time, it's the mental weight, the emotional weight, and the spiritual weight that's heavier than any other weight. Because we can carry some hits. Tell me that. Black women, we can carry a little bit of weight. Okay, we just get a big size, the next size up, and we still gonna look flat. The physical weight is last. Right? So I know you're like, okay, what's she gonna talk about? Spa trips and nails. Sorry, unfortunately, I'm not. Okay? Because when we talk about lifting and becoming a boss mom, you have to first be a well woman. You can't go for the bag if you're not gonna carry it with pride. What happens when the lashes come off and the suit comes off? I want you to look at yourself and be proud and say, I did that without all the frills because God made me perfectly and wonderfully and beautifully just how I am. So this is the tip of the iceberg, right? So if you already follow me on social media, hey friend. If you don't, just go on and do it. Precious K. Williams on all platforms, because that's where you'll get more of this content, more of this information, and more of my heart for moms. I believe when you lift a mom, which stands for lighten her load, ignite her spark, allow her to embrace a freedom mindset and take her turn, you lift the entire family. You lift her whole bloodline. Right? And so today we're going to talk about the F, which is a freedom mindset. Because I firmly believe your life cannot get to a destination before your mind does. Your mind must arrive at the destination before your life does. You look at a Ghanaian bred, Chicago raised, Howard trained, the ATL paid, okay? Who weighed more in 9th grade than I weigh now. English is my second language. I went to speech therapy. Like, why am I here today? Because despite all those things, God qualified me. God saw me. He put something in me, and I saw myself here when it didn't make sense. So where do you want to be? You might be there. You might be where you thought you wanted to be, and I can guarantee you there is more. There's even better, but you have to envision it. In my live framework, I talk a lot about physical health, working out, and sleeping, and drinking water, and all the things that are super important. But if your mind has not decided that you're worthy and become willing for that lifestyle, you're not going to live it. Because what's a good word say? Right? You have to be transformed by the renewing of your what? Mind. If your mind doesn't change, it doesn't matter what you do. Your life will not change. Okay? And so when I want you, why I'm talking about this, why is it so important, Precious, get to it, is because there are a lot of us chasing. We're the first in our family to go to college, first in our family to own a business, first in our family to own a house, but are you the first in your family to overcome depression? Overcome high blood pressure? Overcome cancer? Or are we going to keep on allowing these things to be passed down from generation to generation? Or are we going to stop the ball from rolling? So I want you to really paint a picture of this. If one of these runs in your family, stand up. High blood pressure. High cholesterol. Cancer. Diabetes. Anxiety. Look around. In this sea of beautiful black women, and we think that this should be our norm. So it's our turn to decide that we're changing that. You maybe see it. It's our turn to decide that we're changing that. And we're not just changing it for the next generation, we're changing it for us. Because you deserve it. You deserve to live the life that you always envision yourself living every day. Not just on the trip, not just on the conference, but every day. Okay, precious, for real. Now, that fast. So, in the next 3 weeks, you're going to be able to have something that you work with. So, if you're ready to work, say I'm ready to work. Ready to work. If you're ready to work, say I'm ready to work. Ready to work. But in order to work, you have to surrender. It's not going to be you doing the work. You've got to decide that, Lord, just like I want to trust you with everything, I trust you with this. Okay? So the first step is make a list. Make a list of who you are outside of what you do. When I talk about taking your turn, I'm asking you, if life is a game, do you get a turn? Or are you constantly being skipped over? Pick two. Uno skip. Like, draw three. Or do you get your actual turn in life? A lot of times, in a family calendar, everyone has a color but you. And you're last or on the background. And I'm not telling you, forget them kids. Let them kids think for themselves. I'm telling you, can you treat yourself just as well as you treat your kids? Because in all your caring, a lot of us have forgotten to care for ourselves. Right? So make that list of who you are outside of what you do. You can't put a role on there. You can't put a title. You can't, and I see somebody writing, yes. You can't put a position. Make that list. Right? You got 3 weeks to do it. But you might need to do it today, because we like to procrastinate. Okay? Make that list. Are you quirky, a lover of crime shows like me? Right? Who are you? Okay? The second step after you do that, make it like a T-chart, is to ask yourself, how much time do you actually spend sewing into that person? Because you probably spend a lot of time on the roles, the mommy, the job, the business, the daughter, especially us, our parents are getting older, so now we got more kids. Right? We need to ask ourselves, how much time do I actually get spending on myself? Remember, in order to be a boss mom, you've got to be a well woman. Right? And it's no longer a time where we have to prove our worth in motherhood by how much of a martyr we are, how burned out we are, how tired we are. The narrative of, girl, wait till they go to college, you'll sleep in. 18 years? I can't trust that God made me, created me just so I can be burned out. Someone said earlier, what side of mom's guilt do you plan on being on? I love that. Because you're going to be guilty if you neglect yourself for 20 years and then realize that you lost yourself for 20 years. Or you're going to be guilty for doing something that you know is making yourself better and giving them a better mom. Because guess what? They deserve to know the college version of you. Y'all remember that version? Somebody's like, oh, why do they not know you? How many of us knew what our parents like? Did your mom get a turn? Does she have hobbies? What did she do outside of being a mom and taking care of the household? Or do we want our girls or our sons to think that's what motherhood is? Let them learn who you really are. Because if they do, they can be like, she's pretty dope. Like, I like her. And the third thing you can do in the next 3 weeks is then decide what is the limiting belief that's stopping me from 1 and 2. That's pausing me between who I am in the core, who's that college version of me, that childlike version of me, and why is she not being nurtured? Why is she not being cared for? What mistakes have I made? What relationship failed? Is this your 4th, 5th time trying to go to the gym and it's only March? You've been trying to yourself go is not a thing. Life be life. There is no hood like motherhood. And I am not alone in that. So you did not let yourself go. You did not lose yourself. You're finding a new version. Allow you to reintroduce yourself, right, to yourself. Ask yourself, what's stopping you? Have I invested in the help I need? This is not my mom's generation. They didn't have Instacart, dropping food, all the different things, right? They didn't have mommy wellness coaches. God has created someone who went through the pain, the wanting to drive away up 75 south north to Tennessee just to get a break. Spoiler, I didn't do it. I stayed and walked on into the house. And after that, I called my best friend and said, y'all, when I get out of this, mark my word, I'm going to create something so other moms don't have to go through this alone. We are not created for this. It's time for you to take your turn. Stop letting everyone else in your house get a turn. Just put yourself in a rotation. Why are you the last person on the family calendar that you manage? If you love your children, don't forget to care for their mother. She matters to them. You matter to God. You matter to me. My name is Precious K. Williams. I will be on the outside with a free mommy wellness quiz for you guys. And my 8-week program is here for you so that you don't have to do motherhood alone. You were not created to walk through the most ghetto, dangerous, difficult hood. Ever did hood. Right? But we just saying, gang that. We're going to stick with it. Right? You were not created to do this alone. There was somebody created to help you. Take the help you need. It's your turn. Have a great day.
Intimate. Okay, so I'm so excited because this is the point where we kind of can get a little bit more intimate. I love doing fireside chats. We get to unpack stuff a little bit more. We get to have more of a robust conversation. To me, you're a dynamic woman. When I was talking to her, her interesting fact was that, and I did the math actually. So just imagine, for the past 11,315 days, she's been wearing pink. Every day. For the last 11,315 days, she's worn pink. Since the day she was born. So if you are not the personification of like a girly girl, I don't know what is. So I just thought that was amazing. Like, you wear pink every day?
Something pink. So
something pink.
Once I became a boy mom, I got into this era that some of my Instagram followers were like, who is this? Because I started this little blue aesthetic.
Okay.
But I always had some pink nails, a pink bracelet, a pink earring. Something was pink. But ever since, and I blame it on my mom because I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And then it kind
It's her fault. Well, I'm super excited to talk to you. For people who don't know you or they might just be learning about who you are for the first time, give us a little snippet about who is Lauren Wilson.
Okay, so I am Lauren Wilson. On social media, my name is I Am Lauren Lyrics. I started I Am Lauren Lyrics years and years ago because I used to sing. I do not sing anymore, other than if you guys know Coco Melon, Miss Rachel, Paw Patrol. Those are my theme songs. But I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 2, almost 3, with 3 under 3 approaching. I am a serial entrepreneur. Got into content creation in 2021 completely fully. And I'm a girly girl. I enjoy to have fun. Motherhood, obviously it's going to change you in the fact of just your routine in your daily life, but I always tell people I'm just Lauren. And I try to always stay true to myself, stay a good person, and just honestly simply enjoy life.
I love that. Like I said earlier, when we think about the Boss Mom movement, the motto is that being a boss mom is a lifestyle. How have you made being a boss mom a lifestyle for yourself?
So being a boss mom for me, going back to the word staying true to yourself. So I don't care if I become John and Kate plus 8, have 8 kids, I'm not. But I'm always gonna be who I am. I like to have fun, I like to scroll on TikTok, I also like to make money, I like to look cute. I think I look cute. Seriously, I like to indulge in the things that I like to indulge, and I feel like that creates that platform for me to feel like I'm a boss. Even when I'm in my bonnet and my pajamas, I still feel like I'm in an era and a good life that I, honest to God, pray for and create.
I think, there might be some women in here, and it could be something that you can just kind of like digress and go back to. When I think about mindset, when I think about being a boss, what kind of mindset work have you done to convince yourself in the days that you don't feel like it, that you are a boss?
I always feel like a boss. Even when I started breastfeeding, and you guys know that journey is wild, and your outfit sometimes is dripping milk, I'm like, I'm not a cow. So honestly, that sounds crazy, but I really like each era of my life, I really indulge into that time. So going back into indulging the time, I did real estate for 5 years. It's absolutely amazing, and I kind of had that shift in 2021 when we had our son, that my husband and I, we kind of sat down and talked about me staying at home. And it kind of scared me because, I'm getting my hair done, my makeup done, I'm dressing up, I'm taking my pictures, I have my closings, I got the cute key, and I'm like, I'm gonna be at home, and that kind of scared me a little bit. But I really dived into motherhood, and I embraced that time. As we know, our children are going to be, childhood is a short period of time. So each stage of life that I'm in, I really dive crazy into it, but I still keep my true self a priority.
I think, if you have more than one children, the cool thing about that is, when you're becoming a parent, I feel like being a mom or just being a parent in general is a learn as you go process. Every day is like you learn something new from your children, from yourself, just from the experience at large. Now, the third time around, with this third baby coming, what is something that you would say when it comes to motherhood and your approach to it that you're going to do differently moving forward?
Comparison. So I am not the girl that sits on Instagram comparing people and looking at this. That's just really not my personality. However, when I became a mother, I started to track other children's milestones. I started to look at, we had a baby on the same time, and she's walking, he's not walking, this is happening. And although I ask questions more for education, it's not consuming my life. So I kind of just wing it a lot more now. I have a lot of faith in God. Obviously, I do practice to make sure, we got our walking little songs and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not sitting up there obsessing over things. I put it in God's hands. I try to, do what I can as a mom. My husband's pretty hands-on, my mom, my family members, so we kind of just do our part, but I would say definitely comparing the milestones of children can be very stressful and can very much consume your life. And I would say, obviously, if you see something going on, early intervention is definitely something that I advocate for. But as far as like just looking around and looking at this, really check into yourself and focus on your child. And that's something that it came pretty fast between my first and my third, but after our son, which was only 15 months later, technically 6 months, but I started to kind of just focus on each child's progression and the state that they were in. So I think as I continue to have children, that's something that I will be very conscious and mindful of.
That's good, because I don't think about that too often. Like, comparison, yes, ourselves, but when it comes to the kids, because you have so much pride, in your children, and it's so easy to like succumb to that state of like wanting to compare. So I can definitely resonate with that. I want to ask you, because you've been able to be extremely successful in the real estate realm, and you've been able to generate passive income for your household. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's the goal, right? A lot of us, we have businesses, but at some point, we don't really want to work the business every day. We want the money to be able to work for itself. Talk about what having a passive income has afforded you to be able to spend more time with your children.
It's been amazing, and I'll be able to say that, and I always salute my mom. So I grew up pretty well, and my mom, she's been a real estate broker for my entire life, and a lot of things, honestly, were spoon-fed to me. Financial literacy, credit scores. So anytime you see me on social media, Obviously the things are not made up, but I always attest that I learned a lot, and that's from my mother, and she taught me a lot. So growing up, my mom was a real estate broker, she still is, but 2008 the economy crashed. That means I'm in high school. I want my brand new Volkswagen Beetle. I don't understand that the economy has plummeted, but I'm like, sweet 16, Volkswagen Beetle. And I got it. And you know what, going back to that age, being here today, my mom owned a ton of rental properties. And growing up, she ended up instilling to me the values of multiple streams of income. Having that opportunity, she grew her actual brokerage where she's not just the one selling homes, she has agents selling her homes. In addition to that, she has rental properties, she flipped properties. So a lot of the things I actually learned and took them onto myself. My husband, his father owns a construction company. We both graduated college. Neither one of us thought that we would follow our parents' footsteps, and we did. And that's something for our children that we talk about all the time, that you want your children to be better. I don't know if I'm better than my mama, but I'm on the track. But seriously, passive income, starting small, doing something outside of your job. I worked at the DeKalb County Juvenile Court as a child advocacy paralegal from 2014 to 2016. In addition to that, I started my Poshmark account. I was buying things from a Lexus consignment store. I don't know if you guys know, it's basically a consignment store. And I was reselling them for higher prices, and that's me at 21, 22, and I'm looking at my income. I was making $1,000, $2,000, $4,000, and it kind of started to grow at that point. So I always knew that outside of my direct, and it just has started to grow as I started to grow as a person in age and in wisdom.
Something that I really admire about you, and there's been a lot of rhetoric actually around this topic of the soft life, right? How many of you have been staying abreast on this narrative of living the soft life? Show of hands. When I think about, living the soft life and the hustle and bustle of being a boss mom and trying to make moves and this level of, I guess, masculine energy that you have to be able to achieve your dreams and be successful, how have you been able to still balance a sense of living the soft life amidst the hustle?
Asking for help and accepting help, delegating tasks. So I'm an only child, meaning all these kids I have, these are my mom's only grandkids. So when she calls and says, can I do Lily hair? Yeah. Can I come over and watch? Absolutely. Even when taxes, having a tax person, having someone that can come and help. I am always that person, a housekeeper, all of those things, it's absolutely yes. Now, is it as expensive as people think? Honestly, no. Finding the exact people and budgeting. I am huge on budgeting. That's a major part, and I always live below my means. So it may look like something is glamorous, and I'm very appreciative, but I definitely could do more. I'm very, very conscious of money and money management, and I tell people, if you can get something, that does not mean you should. And I follow a model and a tactics. If I can't do it a couple times, I'm not gonna do it. When we purchased our home, I ended up becoming on the mortgage, but we got something that only my husband's income could afford. So I'm very anal and strategic about my life, I will say that. And a lot of people could perceive that that's not someone that kind of follows along my journey as fake. That's okay, I don't care, honestly, but I'm very anal and very conscious. So even in college, I kind of knew my path. I didn't know exactly where I would take it, but I wanted to be married young, and I got married at 25. I did not want to have children immediately, so I was almost 5 years into our marriage before we had children. I wanted to become a homeowner. I didn't want to rent, so I made the actual moves to make that happen. Whether that meant cutting out Starbucks, and I know it's a lot of controversy right now, don't judge me, I stopped for a minute, but coffee was, we spoke about that earlier, coffee keeps me going. So I cut that out for a long time. I cut out spending, I took my nails off for a while, because that was, I really dive deep into making things happen. So when you have a goal, really stick to that goal and try your absolute hard. Did I fall off? Many times. but I would say really being anal and strategic about your life, writing down your goals. I moved to Atlanta in 2014, single, fresh off, like super excited with a bunch of goals. I went to church. There was a pastor named Ari Vernon from Cleveland, Ohio, and I went to a singles conference, and he had us write either 5 or 10, I can't remember, qualities that we wanted in our husband, and to pray over it. Looking back on Instagram, because I always took pictures even before I monetized, I went to that seminar September 23rd, 2014. Our son was born September 23rd, 2021. Every single characteristic I put on that list was my husband, other than I wrote on the list dark skin. Because I was really dark skin. So it came all packaged right with a high yellow. But I was very strategic about family oriented. I put tall, I put in a fraternity. I just was saying anything at 22, you just, that's what I wanted. And that's honestly what happened. And I met him 2 weeks later. Also putting yourself first. I loved him. We were long distance, and he lived in South Carolina, I lived in Atlanta. I called my mom one day crying, saying, I'm just not making enough money and it's too much. Going back to the Poshmark story, I was making the money, and it was hard to even ship out my items because after 5, the post office is closed. So I have all of these things to send off. Also, I worked at Cupcake Mafia, which is now closed. It's Miss Skittles and Rico Chappelle store as well. So I was always hustling, doing what I need to do, but I always wanted that entrepreneur. So I called my mom. She said, move back to Detroit, buy a home, and it'll be cheaper than rent. So I said, okay. I called my now husband. I said, hey babe, I'm moving back to Detroit. He was sad. I wasn't, because I need to make my money. And I'm like, we can figure this out. He called me about 2 weeks later. He said, what you know about Wayne State University? I said, that's a college downtown Detroit. He said, I got an interview there. And it's pretty much history after that. But going back to that, and God ordains every part of your life, but I put me first. And even to this area of marriage, motherhood, we talked about having a cup, and you have to fill your own cup up to even distribute it. And I still do that to this day, not in a selfish way, but I have to come correct in order to be who I am. So I do put myself first in a lot of situations, and it's to a point where, like I said, it's not harmful for my children, it's not harmful for my marriage. But I would advise people to focus on your dreams, your aspirations, your mental health, everything that you have, so that you can give that back to others.
Okay, last question, and we can take some questions if anybody has some for Lauren. But I'm glad that you mentioned God, because I kind of wanted to end on that note, asking you about that, because so often we get caught up in our own ambitions, our own dreams, and doing the work ourselves, right? And so there's a quote that I like that says, do what you can, and God will do what you can. How have you been able to, lean into what God can do for you and for your business, and kind of getting out of your own way and letting Him move?
I'll be honest, I've been a Christian my entire life, but some days it's odd. I remember one time God told me to tithe amount that was more than 10%. I said, well, maybe He ain't saying that. Into this certain charity that I didn't know much about. Answer a message on social media about a stranger asking me for money that could have been a scammer bammer, I don't know, but he leads me to things and I just do it. And for my own understanding, do I know for a fact it's the right thing? Because he told me yes, but if I was going on my own, no. There are people that write me, and it's not every single person that you're just going to cash app, and some people might scam you in that too, so be careful. But just it's a feeling, and I go off of not really so much emotion, but it's a spiritual calling. And when He does say something to me, I just try to move, and every single time I get a blessing, every time. Like, it can be something, it doesn't have to be financial, it can be something that happens that I prayed on, that I thought about, that I talked to God. It can be as small as, God, bring my edges back. Because they was going left. And then the edges, I go to the salon and she says, they are filling in. It's not even always money, but sometimes you have something on your heart, and if you are faith-based, I would say to just go for it, honestly. Every day is not just rainbows and butterflies, but I am strategic to have something good every day. I really try to give myself that time. I wake up earlier. I try to write down everything that I can. I try to listen to music, not always Christian music. Sometimes Future is okay. I think so. But, I really just vibe and kind of try to enjoy myself. Prior to, I probably should stop going here because I keep getting pregnant every time. But as soon as 6 weeks happen and my doctor says yes, I'm in Pilates. I take appearance very serious. So I'm fine with the term mom bod, and that's perfectly fine, but I like to get back. And that puts me back here, but maybe this time I won't do that. But, really think about things that you love, think about things that make you happy, think about things that bring you joy, and every day try to do something. It could be small, it can be big. Save for something that you want to have. For yourself, and just enjoy life, honestly. Don't care about other people's opinions. I'm gonna tell one quick story because I know we gotta go. I do coaching calls, and I do it on social media, I do it on box trucks, real estate, a couple other things. So I'm on a call with a nice lady. She booked a 1-hour session. Nice lady in her 40s, she was a nurse. I mean, it was a beautiful conversation. After the call was over, she said, I have something to tell you. I said, what's going on? I used to couldn't stand you. I don't know you. I don't know what I do. And so she's like, honestly, it just was, everything seemed too perfect. It seemed like this and that and all, and I'm just like, I'm listening, trying to hear more, because I'm like, this is weird. I thought we were cool. And she ended up saying, but during that time I was getting a divorce. I had lost my job, so I called my sister and I had her go on your page, and she said, what's wrong with this little girl? And she said, you should be learning from her instead of criticizing her because you don't know her. And I've had a lot of messages where people say all kind of crazy stuff, and it honestly doesn't get to me because I just don't care. But people go through things, and you gotta understand 9.9 out of 10, it's not you. It's honestly not. It's something they're going through, and it's something that they see in you that triggers them. And, focus on yourself, enjoy yourself. And it used to bother me a couple things just because I'm always like, what I do? And then as you get older, you start to know it's not you, honestly. And then if there is anyone that triggers you, unfollow them. You don't have to see them people. Like, just don't look. You know what I mean? So, I'm going all off and probably messing up the time.
You're fine. Thank you, Lauren. All right, we're going to take a couple questions before we close. Anybody have a question for you?
We love them dearly, okay? But no, I truly appreciate you all. This is my 3rd year doing this. The first one was virtual. This is the 2nd time that we're in person. So, y'all, the last couple months have been, but we made it. And y'all look great. I love the black and the pink. Y'all, speakers. Thank you. Thank you. Give them a round of applause. On Friday night, we do this giveaway shout. Okay. Y'all have tickets. One thing about the Boss Mom, it is about us, not about necessarily us working or owning our businesses and hustling. It's about us taking over our lives and not being what society says a mother should be, right? It is you putting yourself first so that we can pour into these other cups. And that is inclusive of family and then anything that truly makes you happy. So if it is starting that business, going up the corporate ladder, traveling, whatever makes you happy, that makes you happy. Is putting yourself first, ultimately. So that's the boss and boss mom, right? I wanted to take a moment to recognize, some moms that I personally invited because I've watched just their journey as mothers and then them diving into their personal goals. So I'm gonna call a couple of ladies to the stage. I know they're big-eyed at me right now because
office, but they don't come up here. So, Brianna Smith. Shanice McCoy has broken up. Newlywed. Okay, y'all can make that girl go viral. Have a new hubby. Danielle Nelson. We have Miss Brianna Myers. Mrs. Camille Jackson. And Dr. Ebony Gresham. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these ladies. So, if you don't know, I'm going to start with Bree. Hair by Bree Renee. She has level 415, right? So, first of all, let's talk about quickly Slayer, okay? We're gonna get you right. And then launching her hairline, her premium hair collection. So I definitely want to give it up for you just being the boss mom that you are. Your baby girl is adorable. And she's funny as heck, so follow her. Mama got a personality, okay? And then I want to move on to Miss Shanice. Love it. Owner of Soul Aesthetics and Soul Studio, Soul Beauty, everything is soul, honey. The aesthetics, let's get into it. You have got to go and visit her brow studio. It is so cute, okay? And I need to go, I don't get my brows done. I just want the vibes, okay? But you are doing it, and you just opened up your studio that I love. It's super cute as well. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on your newly, okay, I'm going by my list. So Danielle, yes, so the creator of Motherboard Society, which is a well-being solution for working moms. So I really, first of all, I met Danielle at a conference that we both spoke at. Love energy. She's so, let me help you, like, I mean, we just met, and I love that we typically say the girl's girl. Like, I'm a girl's girl, all this, we can't collab, and you got the same thing going on. I don't do that. It's plenty of moms in here that have spoken today that have mom platforms. I collaborate with Paisley on the Mommy Mixer. She has a mom platform. Like, it's all about community and support. So, just in being a corporate mom, like what you want to do with Motherboard Society, what you all are doing to make sure that we're taken care of in the workforce is amazing. So shout out to you, Mama, and doing it, because you're doing it. And, okay, so this one. So, this is my best friend, y'all. I was the first mom in our group. She's 4 months pregnant now. 5 months, Lord, 5 months pregnant. The reason I wanted to acknowledge, because she is the level 10 beauty bar owner, got franchised. I started the Boss Mom when I was pregnant. So it's personal, but I wanted to, because we've had so many conversations about wanting to give up what you're doing, because we go through these emotions as moms, right? When you're pregnant, you have so many emotions. And I'm like, Bree, don't give up. Stay strong. It's okay, girl. You still like what you do. You do, I promise, you know? But that was one of the things when I got pregnant. That's why I started the Boss Mom, because I was like, am I losing out on who I am as a woman and what I like to do? So I wanted to acknowledge you and keep going. You see all these beautiful moms in here, and you done heard the stories, so you are gonna be great at balancing what you have going on and being an amazing mom, so. Ooh. Okay. Camille. Okay, just another friend, y'all. So, Camille is in project management and lifestyle content. Baby, when I say this baby can turn a house into a home with the designs, okay? When I get my house, girl, you know. Okay. But we have had countless conversations as well about finding the right opportunity as a working mom that
resonates with us and, you know, what we want in a career and a job that appreciates us. So first of all, we're gonna give you a round of applause because my girl just landed a new job that she loves. So I just want to say, continue to be an amazing mom in Easton. She's so cute. First of all, and our sons, we were pregnant. Yeah, so, okay, I told you that's personal. So her husband, my boyfriend, they're longtime friends, and that's how we met. And then we were pregnant at the same time. So our sons are 2 months apart. Like, so yeah, it's a village, right? So you got this, girl. All right, Dr. Ebony. Now we met on social media, y'all. Because she is just a speaker and author, so I know she don't mind, but y'all will not believe how many wonderful, amazing kids Dr. Ebony has. Guess. Now, if you know, do you know for sure? Look, are you guessing? You know, go ahead. 5. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. I'm sorry. 5. Okay, let's add another 5 on to that. Okay? 10. I'm gonna let her tell it. I'm gonna let her, because I know. But go ahead.
So I do that all the time. But I birthed 8, married into 2. That's
Well, y'all thought she was gonna say I birthed 2, right? But no, Dr. Ebony is still an amazing soul that I met through the internet. You know, the internet got a lot of stuff, a lot of vices, but it's good for some things too, because I came across her page from homelessness with her babies to now a doctor nurse. Look, doctor nurse, okay? Doctor nurse in practice. Yes. So life doesn't have to defeat us, okay? Anything that is thrown our way, we can handle. We do it every day. Because, honey, when my 2-year-old throw life at me, I smack it right back at him, okay? But seriously, I want to just give you ladies your flowers, okay? To let you know that you're seen, your families appreciate you, your clients, your customers, your teammates, your husbands, your wives, whomever, they appreciate you. But this is the Boss Mom showing appreciation to you ladies as well and giving you your flowers.
This on for the 3rd time, but not only that, she's put so much work and effort into it that her Boss Mom team wanted to just do something for her while she's up here crying and doing for everybody else. So if everyone can give her a round of applause.
Also, it's Ashley's birthday next weekend, so we wanted to sing her happy birthday real quick. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ashley. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, vocals.
It's your time.
Mentioned is about what brings her pleasure is looking at her children and every moment taking it all in. Well, I can tell you that when they're grown and on their own and doing things, it's even greater. Because what I've seen my daughter do is something that she's had in her heart since she was a small child. She's always cared about people that she's met. She would come home and say, hey, so-and-so needs some help. Can they come over? Can we do this? And so she's carried this on into adulthood. We are so, so, so proud of her that she brought you women together and that she's trying to build a community for people who look like us. Amen. I've seen a lot in my life in 60 years. And I can say that we need this. We need more of this. We need to be able to have a place where we can come and learn how to raise our own community. And you young women are just, you're delighting my heart because you came together to support yourselves and to meet other women. And most of all, to support my child in what she's trying to do for other women. We have a piece of jewelry that we wanted to give to our daughter. And it's not for her birthday, even though it is coming up. It's actually for all of the hard work she's put into bringing this conference here. It's her third. And so hopefully she'll be able to continue to work and network with you all, and then she'll become a better mom even for her children to come. I think it's something that you need. Yeah, you were having an issue today. Oh. Diamond, the 14-karat gold diamond.
A lot of things on your plate. You got a lot, I mean a lot of things that I just cannot say is quite on my way. You bitches riding on all my waves, but you bitches tired and underpaid. And show